big news for the Los Angeles Lakers. Not only did LeBron James sign a 2-year extension, Anthony Davis signed a 5-year, one with the player option, $190 million deal. Jalen, this is a little bit longer than we thought he would sign for. What does these deals mean for the Lakers and for these two individuals?
It means to me, I'm going to make sure everyone in the media puts respect on two individuals' name that I had to come on television during this period of time over the last few years and defend their honor.
Hey.
One, Rob Pelinka, who only won the championship with the Lakers this year after everybody assassinated his character. The other one is Rich Paul. When you get a chance, look deeper into the Los Angeles Lakers roster. You know what you're going to find? A lot of Rich Paul clients. And you know what else you're going to find? A lot of Rich Paul clients getting paid top dollar. And soon as you saw, Jacoby, soon as you saw the news, LeBron James, 2 years, almost $100 million, it was like muscle memory. It's like hitting your knee. You already knew Anthony Davis was going to come right after. 5 years overall. He can opt out after the 4th year. The Lakers are playing chess when the rest of the NBA is just playing checkers.
Absolutely. And we looked at the Western Conference at the beginning of last season. We saw the Lakers and the Clippers kind of as 1A and 1B. And now there's a clear leader in the Western Conference. That is the Los Angeles Lakers. You look at what they did this offseason. Let's take a look at those people again. Not just did they re-sign LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you added Harrell, you added Schroeder, you added Matthews and Gasol. They are a much better team this year than they were last year. And what they do last year, Jalen?
Win the championship.
Absolutely. Now, we thought that maybe Anthony Davis would sign a 1 or 2 or a 2+1 type of deal to get himself that 10 years of service so he can get 35% of the max, but he signed for 5 years. Why do you think he's signed long-term now?
We Rich Paul clients, we're not playing those games. As a matter of fact, you notice when the NBA went to its lockout when the pandemic first hit, there were a handful of players that got their full salary. You know who represent them? Rich Paul. So he's going to make sure he goes to Anthony Davis and tells him, let me tell you a secret. I'm going to get LeBron James to sign for 2 more years. That means they have LeBron for 3. They have you for 4, and then you can do whatever you want your 5th year. It's your call. But we're going to make sure KCP, LeBron, AD, Morris, we're going to make sure all of our guys get top dollar. And as you mentioned, we're bringing Schroeder. He was only one of the top 6 men in the league, averaging almost around 20 points. Montrezl Harrell.
Oh, that's right.
And here's an adjustment for Montrezl Harrell. And this happens when you become a veteran player. It's been acknowledged that he can't be your best big guy and be a competitive championship contending team. Now, in the bubble, he dealt with some family loss. And their team clearly didn't warm up to the opportunity to make the sacrifices needed as the Clippers to perform in the bubble. But now playing alongside AD, playing alongside LeBron, all he got to do is what you just saw. Catch, dunk. That's all he got to do. Celebrate, flex to the crowd. That's all he got to do for the next couple of years, and then he'll try to get another big deal.
When you play alongside Anthony Davis, your role becomes much different for Harrell than it was last year because Anthony Davis does so much on both ends of the floor. Underrated defender. And Harrell, like you said, they're not asking him to guard the best opposing big now because they've got Davis to do that. They're not asking him to create offense. They have so many playmakers around him. What's he going to do, Jalen? What 2 things does he need to do?
Catch, finish. That's it. That's
and then celebrate. And then celebrate.
Well, he gonna be flexing this year. Oh my goodness, he gonna be out there like a boxer.
Well, Lakers fans, Lakers front office, and Rich Paul and Clutch and LeBron and Anthony Davis, they should all celebrate because this is huge for the purple and gold, and they now are head and shoulders above every other team in the whole entire league as the favorites heading into the season. Jalen, rarely does a blockbuster trade not lead the show, but the Lakers news was just that big. Jalen, the Houston Rockets don't just get John Wall. They get John Wall and a first-round pick, and Russell Westbrook goes to the Wizards. Jalen, when you look at it through the prism of James Harden, who I'm sure was consulted on this, why do you think they went for Wall?
I think they went for Wall because him and Russ are similar in a lot of ways, but they're going to be vastly different in certain ways. In particular, on the floor, John Wall is going to be a guy that can be effective without the ball. I know that he's a 20-10 and 2 steal guy, but he's going to be able to still make plays as a secondary playmaker versus Russ and James both need an isolation scenario in order to perform at their maximum. But here's what I want to also acknowledge. I know there's a lot of podcasts in the game. I get it. We've been doing this 10 years. As a matter of fact, Jacoby, when we were doing it, there was no Spotify. There was no Apple. Okay, we were doing this thing on YouTube and on Periscope. And if you follow Jalen and Jacoby over the last 10 years, this trade don't surprise you. It's broken news to you. This is broken news to you. We talked about that time and time again. When John Wall was returning from injury, and then he was pictured in Brooklyn doing some unsavory things as it related to the organization, the ownership and management made up their mind that he had played his last basketball game there. Him and Bradley Beal, while both talented all-star level performers, still never meshed as a duo. So for James, I understand. You bring in Wall, you bring in Boogie, you're trying to do what you can to still be a playoff team because you know Harden's still going to perform at an MVP level. But for Russ, like I told you, when he got traded, it not only was going to be to the East, but it was going to be a team that did not make the playoffs. Yep. And why is that important? Because now their fan base is energized. You know that Russ going to show up and bring it on a nightly basis, teaming with Bradley Beal. And are they the best backcourt in the NBA? Are they the best backcourt in the NBA?
Interesting.
Okay. All right. So that's what they're going to have going on in Washington. And so they're now going to be a team that we talk about. They're also going to be a team that will make the playoffs this year. And so this is a win-win for both sides.
Well, I also want to say this about Houston. When D'Antoni left and when Daryl Morey left, they left behind sort of a broken roster, but I really like what they have done in the wake of those two leaving, because it's not only did they bring in Boogie, not only did they bring in John Wall, a gentleman that you're familiar with that's not a household name, Christian Wood. Christian Wood is a legit contributor, and he's a big. So we don't have P.J. Tucker guarding centers anymore. Christian Wood is only familiar to those that live in Michigan because no one's watching the Pistons on League Pass. But he is a true contributor, and they've got Boogie, they've got Christian Wood, they've got Wall, they've got Harden, they've still got Eric Gordon, they've still got Tucker. Like, the Rockets are kind of revamped, and I like what they have done. But of course, you can't talk about John Wall without saying if he stays healthy, because we have not seen John Wall play basketball in 2 years. So if he's the old John Wall, it's going to go well.
I suffered through the years and shed so many tears. Oh, man, I hate to see Christian Wood go. And I'm glad you brought him up. That's smart basketball analysis. You paying attention to League Pass, dog, because Christian Woods can ball. He can play on the perimeter. He can drive it and make a play for himself. He can block shots. He can rebound. And I just want to go on wax and say this. And I love Daryl Morey just like all of the other media fanboys. The Houston GM has done a better job than Daryl Morey already. What do you think about that?
Interesting.
The current GM has done better than Daryl Morey already. And here's what I mean. His outstanding move clearly was bringing in James Harden. Like, that's outstanding. The other thing to help unlock James Harden was to bring in Mike D'Antoni and put the ball in his hands. Those were outstanding moves. The other moves, not so outstanding. You remember Dwight Howard ran with them? Or Chris Paul? Or now Russell Westbrook? You remember them starting a micro ball, like you just mentioned, where P.J. Tucker was 6'5", starting at center? The same team that lived by